Commander Vera stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Obsidian Dawn, her eyes scanning the holographic map of the galaxy that floated before her. Stars blinked and swirled in the soft blue glow of the ship's control panels. Vera was proud. Her fleet was the largest and most feared in known space. Every planet that resisted her empire soon learned the consequences of defiance. She had built her reputation on intelligence, strategy, and ruthlessness. No alien dared question her authority, yet today she was amused. A report had reached her from the edge of her territory. A strange, tiny human ship had been spotted. Vera had heard whispers about humanity before. Stories and legends floated through the galaxy, tales of a race that could survive impossible battles, outsmart advanced civilizations, and somehow thrive in a universe that crushed weaker species. Commander, her first officer, Zyron said cautiously, "They claim it is a human vessel. It is barely more than a scout ship. The reports say its crew survived encounters with pirates and hostile patrols." Vera laughed, a cold, echoing sound that filled the bridge. Survived? I have fleets that could crush a planet with a single strike. Humanity is primitive. Those so-called warriors are nothing more than stories, tales told to frighten children or inspire fools. Zyron shifted nervously. They have survived multiple attacks, Commander. Their tactics are unconventional. It might be prudent to intercept them carefully. Vera waved him off, her golden eyes gleaming with amusement. Careful? Zyron, my fleet is unmatched. The idea that one human, or even a handful, could challenge us is absurd. I want this legend brought before me. I will see for myself how laughable they truly are. Her officers exchanged uneasy glances. The humans had a reputation, yes, but none had ever confronted the full power of the Obsidian Dawn. No one believed a single human could survive. Vera, however, felt a thrill she could not deny. There was a curiosity in her that she had never experienced with any other species. Perhaps she thought there was some truth in the legends. Perhaps this would be entertaining. The human vessel appeared on the edge of the nebula, tiny against the glowing clouds of dust and gas. Vera leaned forward, studying it with amusement. It had no shields that she could detect. Its size was insignificant, barely larger than a shuttle, but its presence made her officers tense. Bring it in for inspection, Vera ordered. I want them on the observation deck. I want to see these warriors face to face. The fleet moved with precision, surrounding the small ship with minimal effort. The human crew did not respond to hails, nor did they attempt to flee. This defiance only made Vera laugh louder. Pathetic, she said, folding her arms. They cannot possibly understand what they are up against. Hours passed as the human vessel drifted, silent and unmoving, inside the halo of the Obsidian Dawn's fleet. Vera grew impatient, tapping her fingers against the railing of the bridge. Then the unexpected happened. A single figure appeared on the observation deck of her flagship, a human warrior. They were alone. No weapons were visible. No technology hummed with energy. Just a human standing quietly with calm eyes that met Vera's golden gaze without fear. Her amusement faltered. Zyron noticed it first. Commander, they are unarmed, Vera repeated, her voice a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. Impossible. They must be preparing some trap. Humans do not stand before empires without a plan. Alert the fleet, any hostile move, destroy them immediately. Yet even as her orders left her lips, Vera could not look away. The humans stood silently, upright and confident, yet not threatening. There was a presence about them, a quiet strength that made the air on the bridge feel different. Vera took a step closer to the observation window. You are bold, she said, her voice almost a whisper. Do you have any idea who you face? The human said nothing. They remained still. Eyes locked with hers, unwavering. Her officers fidgeted nervously, whispering theories of cloaked weapons or hidden abilities. But Vera had seen countless tricks and technologies over her career. None could explain this. None could explain the calm in the human's eyes. Bring them aboard, she said finally. Her voice was firm, but a strange excitement thrummed beneath it. I want to speak to them directly. The human entered her ship, walking through the docking bay with nothing but the lightness of their steps. They did not falter in the face of her guards, did not hesitate when crossing vast corridors lined with advanced alien security. Their presence alone seemed to command respect without a single word. Vera met them in the main observation chamber, surrounded by holographic projections of galaxies and battle maps. The humans stopped a few meters from her, standing in silence. Their eyes did not waver. Their posture was calm, almost regal in its simplicity. "Speak," Vera demanded, curiosity and irritation warring in her chest. "Why do you come here? Are you aware of the power you face?" Still no answer came. Vera felt a strange shift within her, a spark of doubt. Could this really be the human the legend spoke of? Could one human stand so boldly in the presence of her entire fleet, without fear, without weaponry, and yet make her feel? Cautious, Zyron broke the silence. "Commander, perhaps it would be wise to proceed carefully. The reports, perhaps they underestimated this individual." "Underestimated?" Vera repeated, her tone sharp. "There is nothing to underestimate. They are only human. My fleet could annihilate them 10 times over. And yet—" She paused, studying the figure. "There is something different. Something in their presence that is unsettling." For hours the human said nothing. They did not bow, did not kneel, and did not even flinch under her gaze. They simply stood observing, as if measuring her and her empire. Vera found herself studying them in return. Every move, every breath seemed deliberate, controlled, and filled with purpose. Finally, Vera straightened, realizing that her laughter had faded. "You have been through many battles," she said. "Many stories tell of humans who survive when logic and reason would dictate failure. I have always dismissed them as myths. And yet here you are, alive, unafraid, unyielding." The human still remained silent. Vera felt a strange mixture of amusement and awe. The legends were not entirely false. Perhaps she had misjudged humanity. Perhaps these stories were only incomplete, simplified accounts of a species capable of astonishing resilience. She stepped closer, eyes narrowing with intrigue. "Tell me," she said softly, "how do you stand before me so calm? Why do you not fear what I represent? What I can do?" The human's lips did not move. Yet their eyes, sharp, focused, and unwavering, spoke volumes. They did not need words to convey a simple truth: that courage, determination, and resolve were not measured by technology or numbers, but by spirit. Vera felt a chill she had not known in decades of warfare. For the first time, the stories of humanity made sense, not as myth, but as legend born from truth. The human before her was living proof. She turned away for a moment, her mind racing. If one human could stand before her so boldly, what might a fleet of them accomplish? What had this species endured to cultivate such strength? And, more importantly, could they teach her something she had never learned in all her campaigns? Vera turned back to the human, a small, rare smile crossing her face. "Perhaps," she whispered, more to herself than to them, "there is more to humans than I thought. Perhaps it is time I learn their truth." The human continued to stand silently, as if acknowledging her words without replying. And in that silence, Commander Vera realized that this encounter, the one she had mocked before it even began, was only the start of something that could change her understanding of power, strength, and the galaxy itself. Outside the observation window, the stars twinkled, indifferent to the unfolding drama. But on the obsidian dawn, a new awareness stirred, a realization that myth sometimes carried the weight of truth, and that humanity's spirit, quiet yet unyielding, was something even the greatest commanders could not ignore. The bridge fell silent, save for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Vera's laughter, which had echoed so freely just hours ago, was gone. In its place was a strange anticipation, a readiness to witness a legend in motion. For the first time, she felt the thrill of uncertainty, and it was exhilarating. The small human vessel hovered near the edge of the Sapphire Nebula, a glowing cloud of gas and dust that stretched across the void like a living painting. Commander Vera's fleet formed a perfect semicircle around it, their massive hulls reflecting the soft blue light of the nebula. Sensors scanned continuously, searching for any sign of weapons or tricks. Vera stood on the bridge of the obsidian dawn, her golden eyes fixed on the lone human ship. Silence filled the room, broken only by the quiet hum of the ship's engines and the occasional click of consoles. She could feel the tension in her officers, the sense that something was different about this encounter. "Commander," Zyron said carefully, "we have them surrounded. If they attempt anything, we can respond immediately. But they remain stationary, No energy readings, no shield fluctuations, nothing. Vera raised a brow, intrigued. Nothing, you say? How calm. And yet this human stands at the heart of the galaxy's edge as if it owns the stars themselves. Zyron hesitated. It is unsettling, Commander. Vera smirked. Good, it is supposed to be. Perhaps their confidence is founded on nothing, and it will collapse once we close in. With a hand gesture, Vera commanded the fleet to approach the human vessel. Slowly, methodically, the alien ships moved forward, their engines leaving trails of light across the nebula. The human ship remained still, unmoving like a single point of focus in the vast expanse. Finally, Vera gave the order. Open a communication channel. I want to hear from this human before we decide whether to destroy it. The officers complied. A soft chime echoed across the bridge, signaling the connection. Vera leaned forward, expecting the usual greetings or pleading tones. Nothing. The human said nothing. Not a single word, not a hint of response. Only silence. Vera blinked, a mixture of surprise and amusement crossing her face. Bold, she muttered. Even for a human. Commander, Zyron said quietly. They do not respond. Perhaps this is a trick, a distraction. Vera shook her head. No tricks, not yet. I have faced many deceptions. This is something different. Watch closely, Zyron. Observe. Perhaps we are witnessing the strength of a species we have long underestimated. As the fleet closed in, the human ship suddenly emitted a subtle glow, a shimmer of energy that seemed to pulse with purpose. The aliens tensed, expecting a sudden attack. But no weapons appeared, no beams, no missiles, no shields. The glow dissipated as quietly as it had begun, leaving the human ship unchanged. Vera's curiosity deepened. Interesting. They are not attacking nor fleeing. Why would a species so small, so fragile, approach the edge of my territory with such confidence? Zyron's fingers danced across his console. Perhaps they understand something we do not, Commander. Perhaps the human warrior has a strategy beyond what we perceive. Vera nodded slowly. Perhaps, or perhaps they are foolish. She smiled, though her smile lacked its usual certainty. Either way, I will see for myself. Orders were given to open the docking bay on the Obsidian Dawn. The human ship aligned perfectly with the massive hangar, and in moments the docking clamp secured it in place. The doors hissed open, revealing the tiny craft, its design simple, almost primitive compared to Vera's advanced technology. From the ship emerged a single human, walking slowly toward the hangar exit. Vera watched from the observation deck, expecting hesitation, fear, or perhaps a clever ruse. None appeared. The human walked with calm, measured steps, their posture straight, eyes forward. Every motion was deliberate, controlled, and confident. There were no weapons visible, no armor beyond a simple suit that seemed to do nothing more than cover their body. Vera's curiosity turned into fascination. She had seen hundreds of warriors, each trained in some form of alien combat. None carried such quiet authority. None could make an entire bridge of her officers fall silent simply by standing in a room. Commander, Zyron whispered. They are approaching the observation chamber. Vera's eyes narrowed. She took a deep breath and walked to meet them, stepping onto the chamber floor. The human stopped a few meters away, still silent, still calm, still observing. You are far from home, Vera said finally. Her voice carried both authority and intrigue. Do you know what you are facing? The human said nothing. Vera felt a shiver run down her spine. Not fear, she had never feared anyone, but a recognition. This human was unlike anything she had ever faced. The calmness, the presence, the confidence, it was unnerving. She gestured to her officers. Do you see this? Stand down. Do not interfere. Let us witness this moment fully. The officers hesitated, exchanging confused glances, but complied. Vera circled the humans slowly, examining them. Their eyes remained locked on hers, unwavering. There was no hint of panic, no trace of nervousness, no trace of aggression. Only focus. Only resolve. Why do you not speak? She asked. Why do you not react? Even the bravest among your kind would show some sign of fear. The human remained silent, but the aura they carried seemed to answer more than words ever could. It spoke of discipline, training, and a strength that went beyond technology. Zyron leaned closer to Vera. Commander, I have seen reports. Humans survive situations we would consider impossible. Perhaps their methods are beyond our understanding. Vera nodded slowly. Yes, perhaps, but still. They are alone, and yet they stand as if unchallenged. This is remarkable. For the first time in her career, Vera felt a mixture of doubt and anticipation. She had faced countless enemies, defeated countless fleets, and yet this one human caused her to pause. "Very well," she said finally, her voice calm but firm. "We will not destroy you. Not yet. I want to understand. I want to see what makes your species legendary." The human tilted their head slightly as if acknowledging her words. Still no sound. Still no movement beyond the faintest adjustment of posture. Yet in that silence, Vera sensed respect, an unspoken communication, as if the human were measuring her as much as she was measuring them. "Prepare a secure chamber," Vera ordered. "We will test them in a controlled environment. I want to see their abilities firsthand." "Do not underestimate them," Zyron hesitated. "Commander, are you certain?" "One human. And even with our precautions, I cannot predict what might happen." Vera smiled, a sharp, confident expression. "Zyron, one human is enough. Legends are born from the deeds of a few, not the many. If this warrior truly embodies what the stories claim, we will see it here." The human followed without hesitation, walking through corridors lined with advanced security systems, moving with grace and confidence that belied their size. Vera observed every step, every motion. She had faced countless opponents, but none carried such natural command of space. Finally, they reached the chamber, a large, open room filled with holographic projections and simulation equipment. Vera stepped inside, her eyes never leaving the human. "Stand here," she instructed, pointing to the center. "I want to see what you are capable of. Move if you must. Show me why the galaxy speaks of your kind." The human stood still, silent, unyielding. And in that silence, Vera realized that this encounter, the one she had mocked before it began, was already teaching her something. Humans were not simply resilient. They were deliberate, aware, and unafraid. Her curiosity shifted into a new emotion, a mixture of excitement, respect, and challenge. For the first time, Vera felt that this human could teach her, inspire her, or even change her understanding of power itself. Outside the chamber, the nebula glowed softly, the stars indifferent to the drama unfolding within the obsidian dawn. But inside, a silent battle of wills had begun, one that did not rely on weapons, fleets, or technology. It relied on courage, spirit, and determination. Vera took a deep breath, feeling the tension in the room. "Very well," she whispered to herself. "Let us see if the legends are true." The human remained silent, standing in perfect stillness, waiting. And in that moment, Commander Vera understood that this was more than an encounter. It was the beginning of a revelation. No words were needed. The silence itself spoke volumes, and Vera, the most feared commander in the galaxy, felt a thrill unlike any she had ever known. The chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Commander Vera stood across from the human warrior, her golden eyes sharp, assessing every detail. The room was large, empty except for holographic targets and training obstacles projected across the floor. "Move," Vera commanded, her voice calm but commanding. "Show me what makes your kind." Remarkable. The human did not move. They simply stood, calm and steady, as if the challenge itself had no power to disturb them. Vera narrowed her eyes. "Very well. If you will not move, I will test you." A holographic target sprung to life in the center of the room, accompanied by projections of alien combatants, each one armed with the most advanced weapons the Obsidian Dawn could simulate. Vera's fingers hovered over her control console, ready to adjust, modify, and escalate the challenge. The human did not flinch. Their eyes remained focused on her. "Begin," Vera ordered. Suddenly the projections moved. Holographic warriors charged with weapons drawn, their energy blades glowing brightly in the dim light. Most species would panic or falter under the intensity of such a display. But the human did not. They shifted with precise movements, dodging the first attack effortlessly, stepping aside with a grace that seemed impossible. Vera's officers gasped. "Commander, they are dodging. They are avoiding every strike." Vera's lips curled into a small, incredulous smile. "I see that, Zyron, but this is only the beginning." She increased the difficulty. More holograms appeared, faster, smarter, armed with heavier weapons striking from every angle. Yet the human adapted immediately. They did not hesitate. They did not panic. Each movement was deliberate, measured, and perfectly timed. It was not just skill, it was instinct, intuition, and strategy working together. Vera's mind raced. She had faced hundreds of enemies in her life, aliens with advanced technology, species that could bend energy and matter, warriors who had trained for decades. Yet none had moved with this kind of perfect efficiency. None had anticipated attacks without hesitation. Impossible, Zyron muttered, his hands shaking slightly as he typed commands into his console. No one can move like that. No one. Vera ignored him, her attention fully on the human. She activated the next stage of the simulation. Weapons that fired in unpredictable patterns. Beams of energy that twisted and turned in mid-air. Moving targets that appeared and disappeared instantly. The human reacted instantly, their body flowing from one position to another, avoiding each strike with precision. They used no weapons, no technology beyond their own body and mind, and yet they were faster, smarter, and more adaptive than anything Vera had seen. Her heart raced, though she did not show it. She increased the difficulty further, creating holograms that seemed impossible to avoid, calculating attacks that would overwhelm most creatures. And yet the human continued to move fluidly, perfectly, as if they were part of the projections themselves. Finally, Vera activated the final test, a hologram of herself, armed and fully prepared, moving exactly as she would in a real battle. The projections were designed to mimic her every thought, her every strategy. It was the ultimate test. If anyone could survive this, they could survive anything. The human did not flinch. They watched the holographic Vera carefully, reading her movements as if they could see through time, and then with a single motion they moved, anticipating, dodging, countering each attack with an elegance that made Vera's own hologram falter. Vera's eyes widened. She had expected resistance, yes, but she had never imagined perfection. Not in a single human. You adapt faster than any simulation should allow, she whispered. The human continued, moving with perfect balance, avoiding every strike, never showing fear, never hesitating. Their eyes were focused, calm, unwavering. Vera's officers were speechless. Some whispered, some simply stared, unable to comprehend what they were witnessing. The human's performance was beyond anything the galaxy had recorded. Zyron leaned closer to Vera. Commander, they are extraordinary. This is not just skill. This is instinct, intelligence, and something else. Something more. Vera nodded slowly, a mixture of awe and respect rising inside her. Yes, something more. It is resolve, determination, willpower. This human strength is not just in their body, but in their mind, their spirit. The test continued, each stage more difficult than the last. Holographic landscapes changed, obstacles appeared, and alien enemies attacked from all sides. Yet the human adapted instantly, finding paths where none existed, predicting attacks before they happened, and using the environment to their advantage. It was not brute force. It was not technology. It was intelligence, creativity, and courage combined with perfect physical control. Vera stepped closer, her voice sharp and commanding. Tell me, human, how do you do this? What makes your kind so unstoppable? The human did not answer. They never had to. Their actions spoke louder than words. Every dodge, every step, every movement was a demonstration of the strength the legends had whispered across the galaxy. Finally, after hours of testing, the last holographic enemy fell, dissolving into light. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the ship. The human stood in the center, calm, composed, unbroken. Vera took a step forward, her voice low and filled with a mixture of amazement and respect. You have passed every test, every simulation, every projection, and yet you are still standing, alone, unarmed, without hesitation, without fear. The human nodded slightly, the first motion of acknowledgement they had shown. It was small, almost imperceptible, but it carried weight. Vera felt a strange warmth in her chest. She had always believed that power came from numbers, technology, and tactics. And yet here was a single human who had proven her wrong. One being without advanced weapons or shields had survived tests that no alien could endure. Zyron whispered, almost in disbelief. Commander, this is humanity. This is what the legends meant. Vera turned to him, her eyes blazing with a new understanding. Yes, the legends are true. Humanity is not just resilient. They are extraordinary, beyond anything we have imagined. For a long moment, neither spoke. The human stood silently, as if waiting for further orders or instructions. But Vera realized something important. They did not need orders. Their strength, their courage, and their intelligence were enough. They did not rely on commands or hierarchy. They relied on themselves, and that was something that no alien technology could replicate. Vera finally spoke, her voice calm but filled with conviction. "You have shown me what my empire has never seen. You have proven that strength does not always come from weapons or numbers, but from the mind, the body, and the will. Perhaps humanity is the galaxy's greatest secret." The human remained silent, but in that silence, Vera felt a connection, a recognition of mutual respect. They had faced each other not as enemies, but as beings testing the limits of ability and spirit. Zirin looked around the chamber, his voice barely audible. "Commander, what do we do now?" Vera smiled, a rare expression of both amusement and admiration. "Now we learn. We observe. We understand. This human has much to teach us, not through words, but through action. And I, for one, intend to pay attention." The human did not speak, did not bow, and did not leave. They simply stood, calm and silent, embodying everything that Vera had once mocked and dismissed. And yet, in that calmness, they had already changed her perception. Vera realized that her mockery, her assumptions about humans, had been based on ignorance. She had thought they were weak, unprepared, and foolish. And now, standing before this single human, she understood the truth. Humanity's strength was not just physical. It was mental, emotional, and spiritual. It was a combination of all things that no alien could fully grasp. The test had ended. The simulations had concluded. The human had proven themselves. And yet Vera knew that this was only the beginning. If one human could achieve this, what could a civilization of them accomplish? Outside the chamber, the stars continued to shine, indifferent to the small drama unfolding within the obsidian dawn. But inside, a new awareness had taken root, a recognition that humans were more than myths, more than stories. They were living proof that courage, intelligence, and spirit could surpass even the most advanced technology. Vera turned to the human, her voice soft but full of determination. "Prepare yourself. This test was only the first step. The galaxy is larger, and your strength will be tested again, and when it is, I hope you remain as steadfast as you are now." The human simply nodded, as if acknowledging her words without speaking, and in that moment Vera understood something profound. Legends were not born from the easy victories. They were born from courage, determination, and the willingness to stand against impossible odds. And humanity had shown her exactly what that meant. The chamber was quiet now, the simulations turned off, and the hum of the obsidian dawn filling the space. Commander Vera leaned against the railing, watching the human warrior stand in the center of the room. There was no tension in their stance, no fear, only a calm awareness. It was as if the human had already faced every possibility and had chosen to stand undeterred. Vera paced slowly, her mind racing. She had witnessed skill, courage, and instinct beyond anything she had known. And yet, there was something deeper she could not name, a strength that went beyond combat. She had always assumed that power came from technology, numbers, and strategy, but the human had shown her that the mind, spirit, and determination could surpass all of it. She took a deep breath and spoke softly. "You have survived countless tests, many of which would have broken the strongest alien warriors. Yet you stand here unarmed, unafraid. Tell me, why?" The human did not speak immediately. Instead, they stepped closer to the holographic projection of the galaxy. Slowly, deliberately, they placed a hand near the floating stars, as if feeling the connections between them. Vera watched closely. She had expected words, perhaps a clever speech or some defiance. Instead, there was silence. And in that silence, she realized something profound. This human did not need words to convey their message. Their actions, their presence, their very being spoke volumes. Zirin leaned toward her, whispering, "Commander, I think they are showing you something. Perhaps the strength of humanity is not in what they say, but in how they exist, in their resilience, in their courage." Vera nodded slowly. She had suspected this, but seeing it firsthand was different. Yes, and more. There is wisdom here, a way of seeing the galaxy, of facing impossible odds that we have never understood. The human finally spoke, their voice calm, clear, and measured. I did not come here to fight. I did not come here to conquer. I came to test what I would find, to see if arrogance and pride could blind an empire to the truth. Vera's eyes widened slightly. You tested me? The human nodded. Every being I meet is measured not by words or weapons, but by courage, by understanding, and by the willingness to grow. I observed you before I acted. I watched how you approached a challenge. I watched how you led, and I waited. Vera felt a chill, not of fear but of understanding. The human's words, though simple, carried a weight she had never felt. They spoke of wisdom, patience, and the value of perception. So the legends, she said slowly, were not just stories of survival or combat. They were stories of spirit, of will, of determination that cannot be broken by technology or force alone. The human nodded again, a faint smile on their lips. Legends are not born from strength alone. They are born from the choice to stand when all odds are against you, from the choice to act with honor, courage, and understanding, even when fear is present. Vera's mind reeled. She had led fleets to victory through intimidation, strategy, and overwhelming firepower. She had never considered that strength could also come from restraint, from intelligence, from understanding the value of life and the consequences of action. You are teaching me, she said quietly, almost to herself. You are showing me that strength is not only physical, not only technological, but moral. Strategic, yes, but guided by wisdom and principle. The human stepped closer, their gaze meeting hers. Every species has potential. Every civilization has choice. The galaxy is not determined by who has the largest fleet or the strongest weapons, but by who can use their abilities wisely, who can act with courage and foresight, and who can adapt without losing honor. Vera felt a mixture of awe and humility. She had always prided herself on her intellect and leadership, yet this human had shown her that even her vast experience and power had limits. There were lessons she could not have learned from simulations, from reports, or from victories. They could only be learned from someone who embodied the strength of spirit, the human warrior before her. She turned away for a moment, gazing out at the nebula beyond the ship's observation windows. The stars glittered like countless possibilities, and she felt small yet inspired. For the first time, she understood that the galaxy was bigger than her fleet, bigger than her strategies, bigger than her pride. Turning back to the human, she asked, "And what do you want from me? What is your purpose in showing me this?" The human's expression remained calm. "Not purpose, observation, understanding. You will face challenges in the future, Commander. Your fleet, your empire, and your mind will all be tested. I wanted to ensure that when those tests come, you are ready. Not just with strength, but with understanding." Vera nodded slowly. "And if I fail?" "Then the galaxy will teach you," the human replied simply. "And you will learn, as all who survive must learn." Silence filled the room again. Vera's officers shifted nervously, unsure how to respond to this quiet exchange. They had faced enemies before, but never one who did not rely on force, who did not speak to intimidate or command, and yet commanded respect and attention in ways that were almost impossible to describe. Vera finally spoke, her voice steady, yet filled with new resolve. "You have shown me that humanity is more than I ever imagined, that the legends I mocked were not lies, but glimpses of truth. And I am beginning to understand the value of what you embody. The spirit, the courage, the will that can move mountains even when the body is alone." The human nodded once. No more words were needed. Vera's mind turned to her empire, to the countless species she had conquered and the thousands of battles she had led. She realized that perhaps she had underestimated the importance of spirit, courage, and moral strength in leadership. Victory could be achieved with weapons, yes, but true greatness, true respect, came from understanding and inspiration. "Xiron," she said quietly, almost to herself, "prepare a report. Not for war, not for strategy, but for knowledge. I want the Empire to understand what I have learned. Humanity's strength is not in numbers or firepower. It is in courage, resolve, and the choice to stand, even when all odds are against you." Xiron's eyes widened. "Commander, are you saying we admire them?" Vera smiled faintly. "Not yet, Xiron, but we will. We will understand, and perhaps one day we will learn from them rather than conquer or dismiss them." The human watched silently, their calm presence filling the chamber with a quiet power. They had not fought with weapons. They had not shouted. They had not tried to impress or intimidate. Yet they had taught lessons that would last far longer than any battle. For hours, Vera and the human continued to observe the projections of the galaxy, discussing strategy without words, communicating understanding through presence and action, rather than speech. Vera realized that she had been given a rare gift, the chance to see not just the strength of humanity, but the depth of its spirit. She thought of her past victories, of the empires she had dominated, and realized how many had relied solely on fear, weapons, or technology, and now she saw that there was another way, a better way, a way that could combine strength with wisdom, power with principle. Finally, Vera turned to the human and said softly, "I understand now. The legends were not lies. They were glimpses of a truth far greater than we realized, and I am grateful to witness it firsthand." The human nodded once more, silent but understood. Outside, the stars of the Sapphire Nebula shimmered, casting soft light across the chamber. Commander Vera felt a change within herself, a quiet, powerful shift. She had mocked humanity, dismissed it, even laughed at the idea of their warriors, and yet in this moment she realized that she had been wrong. Humanity was extraordinary. Humanity was more than myth, and in that realization she knew that the future of her empire, and perhaps the galaxy, would never be the same. The human had not just survived the tests. They had transformed the mind of one of the most feared commanders in the galaxy, and in doing so they had begun a new story, a story of respect, understanding, and the enduring power of courage and spirit. Vera looked at the human, her eyes filled with determination and respect. "Prepare yourself," she said quietly. "The galaxy is vast, and your journey is far from over. But you have already taught me more than many could in a lifetime. And for that, I thank you." The human remained silent, but the acknowledgement in their eyes spoke more than words ever could. And in that quiet moment, Commander Vera understood fully. The true power of humanity was not just in battle, but in the courage, resolve, and wisdom that could inspire even the most formidable of empires. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the observation windows of the obsidian dawn, casting faint light across the bridge. Commander Vera stood silently, her gaze fixed on the human warrior who had forever changed her understanding of strength and courage. The chamber was quiet, save for the hum of the ship's engines and the soft clicks of her officers moving cautiously around her. It had been days since the test, since the human had shown them abilities and spirit beyond anything the galaxy had recorded. Yet even now the air felt charged with anticipation, as if the nebula outside itself recognized the significance of what had occurred within the ship. Vera turned to her officers, her golden eyes sharp, yet thoughtful. "We have learned much in the last few days," she said. "Not from books, not from technology, and not from simulations. We have learned from a single human, from one warrior whose courage, intelligence, and resolve have surpassed even the greatest of our expectations." Zyron stepped forward, hesitating. "Commander, what is your plan? This human, they are unlike anything we have encountered. One being, and yet they have changed everything." Vera's lips curved into a faint smile. "Change is not something to fear, Zyron. Change is what we must embrace if we are to grow. This human has shown us a path, not of conquest, but of understanding. And that path, we will follow, at least in part." The human stood silently, observing, calm as always. Vera approached, her steps measured, and stopped a few meters away. "You have done more than survive tests," she said softly. "You have opened my eyes to a truth I never saw before. The galaxy is not conquered by strength alone. It is shaped by courage, by will, and by the ability to act with wisdom and principle." The human's eyes met hers, acknowledging the words without response. Their silence spoke louder than any speech could. Vera turned back to her officers. "Prepare our fleet. Not for war, but for demonstration. We will show that strength combined with wisdom can achieve what sheer force cannot, and we will credit those who deserve it, this human and all of humanity." Zyron's voice trembled slightly. "Commander, you intend to acknowledge humans? To broadcast their value?" Vera nodded slowly. "Yes, the galaxy has long underestimated humanity. They have survived countless challenges, adapted when others would have fallen, and inspired courage in ways we could not comprehend. The time has come to honor that. The time has come to recognize them for what they truly are. Legends born from reality, not myth." The human remained silent, Yet there was a sense of understanding in their presence. They did not require praise, nor did they seek it. Their mission had never been to receive recognition. Their mission had been to test, observe, and ensure that the galaxy understood the truth about courage and spirit. Vera activated the communication channels across her fleet. "Attention," she said, her voice carrying authority and a new clarity. "Commanders, captains, and crews of the Obsidian Dawn. Today we acknowledge a truth we have long ignored. Humanity is not weak. Humanity is not primitive. Humanity embodies courage, intelligence, and resolve that surpass the limits of expectation. One human warrior has demonstrated the strength of their species. Let this lesson guide our actions, and let this acknowledgement inspire us all." Across the fleet, alien ships adjusted their formations, some signaling curiosity, others awe. Vera's message was unprecedented. No commander had ever openly credited another species, especially one previously dismissed as weak. Yet the human had changed her, and through her they would change the galaxy. Later, Vera and the human stood on the observation deck together, watching the nebula swirl with color and light. The human spoke for the first time in days. "Commander, your acknowledgement is sufficient. The lesson is not in praise, but in understanding. You now know that strength lies not only in force, but in mind, heart, and will. Teach that truth well, and the galaxy will be safer, stronger, and wiser." Vera nodded, feeling a deep sense of respect and gratitude. "I will. Your example will guide my leadership. Your presence will remind me that courage and wisdom are as powerful as any weapon. Humanity, your people have much to teach, and I intend to learn." The human turned, preparing to depart. Their ship was ready, engines humming softly, a small vessel that had already achieved more than many entire fleets could dream of. Vera watched them go, realizing that their mission was complete, yet the impact of their presence would last for generations. Before leaving, the human paused and looked back at Vera. In that glance, there was acknowledgement, respect, and a quiet challenge. "Do not forget," they said simply, "that true power is earned through courage and choice, not by force alone. The galaxy will test you again. Be ready." And then they were gone, slipping into the stars with quiet speed, leaving the Obsidian Dawn and Commander Vera forever changed. Vera turned to her officers, her eyes bright with determination. "We will continue our campaigns, yes, but differently. We will combine strategy with wisdom. We will lead with courage, tempered by principle. And when humanity appears again, we will greet them as equals, not myths, not legends, but as allies and teachers." Zyron nodded, awe in his voice. "Commander, you have changed, and through you the Empire will change. The galaxy may never be the same." Vera looked out at the stars once more, thinking of the human warrior and all they represented. For years she had ruled with strength, strategy, and fear. Yet she now understood that fear alone did not command respect, and strength alone did not create greatness. True power came from courage, intelligence, adaptability, and an unbreakable will. The human had reminded her of this without words, without weapons, without spectacle. They had simply been themselves, resilient, determined, and steadfast. And in doing so, they had ignited a spark within her that no empire, no fleet, and no technology could ever replace. Vera's officers prepared for their next missions, but she lingered a moment longer, thinking of the lessons she had learned. Humanity's courage was a guide. Its wisdom was a tool. Its spirit was an inspiration. And through this single human warrior, she now understood that the galaxy had much to gain by valuing these truths. The Obsidian Dawn moved forward, stars rushing past, carrying its crew into new territories and new challenges. And though the human warrior was gone, their impact remained, an invisible force shaping the mind of the Empire's most powerful commander, guiding future decisions and transforming the way the galaxy would understand courage and strength. For the first time, Vera felt a deep sense of hope, not just for herself, not just for her empire, but for the galaxy itself. Humanity's lessons were clear. Courage, intelligence, and willpower could reshape the course of history, and one being steadfast and unyielding could inspire change that no weapon ever could. And as the stars stretched endlessly before her, Commander Vera smiled, knowing that humanity's true legacy was only beginning to be understood, and that the galaxy, wide and endless, would soon know the full measure of what one human warrior could teach. In silence, she whispered to herself, a vow and a promise intertwined. The legends were true. Humanity is extraordinary, and I will ensure the galaxy never forgets it. With that, the Obsidian Dawn surged forward, carrying a transformed commander and a fleet that now understood that true power lay not in fear or force, but in courage, wisdom, and the indomitable human spirit.